Hey everyone. So let's just forget the price charts for a minute. Let's talk about what's really happening on Cardano. Today, we're going to dive deep into the ecosystem to get the real story behind the numbers. And it's a story of explosive volume, fresh opportunities, and some seriously intense work being done behind the scenes. Okay, let's jump right in.
It's the question on a lot of people's minds. When you look past the day-to-day market noise, what's the actual pulse of the network? Are people building things? Are users actually making transactions? Is there real, tangible growth happening?
Well, the short answer is a big, resounding yes. The activity we're seeing really breaks down into three key layers. There's a massive surge in financial volume, brand new opportunities are popping up for users, and underneath it all, there's this deep, foundational layer of intense development work.
All right, first up, let's look at the actual numbers, the metrics that show just how much value and activity is really flowing through the network right now.
Let's kick things off with a big number from Strike Finance. They've now accumulated nearly 1.2 million ADA for their holders. And look, this isn't some flash in the pan. It's a sign of real, long-term, sustained engagement and growing value inside their staking protocol.
And it's not just about the total value that's locked up, right? It's about how often people are using it. Strike's protocol is now processing around 2,000 transactions every single day. That is a steady stream of activity that shows the platform is becoming a daily tool for a lot of people in this ecosystem.
And get this is wild. According to Strike, they're responsible for almost half of all trading volume on Cardano. I mean, just think about that. That is a massive impact from a single project, and it just goes to show how one successful protocol can really lift the entire network.
This isn't just about abstract numbers on a screen. Here's a perfect real-world example. A user named Hoskillian converted their World Mobile rewards from USDT and boom, turned it into over 9,000 ADA. This is the ecosystem working exactly as it should, taking rewards from one project and seamlessly swapping them into the network's native coin.
So all this volume and activity, it's creating this perfect environment for new opportunities to grow. So what can you actually do with your assets on Cardano right now? Well, for starters, take a look at this. Pulse recently announced that the new ADA/NIT liquidity pool over on MinSwap is offering a staggering 48% annual percentage yield. Now, of course, yields this high always come with risks, like impermanent loss. But still, that's a pretty powerful incentive for users to provide liquidity and get involved directly in the DeFi ecosystem.
And the opportunities don't just stop at yield farming. You've got platforms like Surf offering secure lending and borrowing services for tokens like Knight. And they're doing it the right way, with isolated lending pools and open-source battle-tested contracts. They're building a foundation of trust for users who want to take their DeFi game to the next level.
Okay, so we've got financial volume and we've got new user opportunities. But what's powering all of this? For this last section, we're going to pop the hood and take a look at the core development that makes everything else possible. So let's take a peek at Surge's plan for their testnet v2. They have laid out a super clear roadmap with specific dates for the release, a 4-day window for the community to test it and give feedback, and then a promise to actually implement that feedback before the mainnet launch. This is exactly how you build with your community.
And it's so important to remember that behind every line of code, there are real people. Surge recently introduced their dev team, and they welcomed Nagam, a new front-end developer. Putting names and faces to the project, it just helps humanize all the work and build a stronger connection with everyone.
And speaking of Nagam, she shared this message with the community. It might seem like a small detail, but it just speaks volumes about the team's energy and the positive momentum they have as they push toward their big mainnet launch. This slide kind of breaks down the team's work into two key areas. On the left, you've got Humam's progress on the front end. That's everything you see and interact with, like the redesigned dashboards and new progress bars. And then on the right, you've got Mod's work on the back end, all the foundational stuff, the infrastructure and database work that keeps the whole system running smoothly and securely.
And here is the payoff for all of that hard work. The team recently tested their strategy fund and successfully generated about 1 million ADA in volume. This proves their infrastructure is solid and ready to handle some serious activity when it finally goes live.
So when you take a step back and you look at all these different pieces together, a really clear picture of powerful momentum starts to form.
We've seen three distinct but totally interconnected layers of activity today. First, that financial pulse is just beating strong with massive volume and thousands of daily transactions. Second, new DeFi opportunities are giving users some really compelling reasons to get involved. And finally, all of this is being supported by transparent, team-driven core development that is pushing toward major new launches.
See, each layer is feeding the others, and it's creating this powerful cycle of growth. This isn't just about one project or one metric, it's about an entire ecosystem firing on all cylinders. Which, it leaves us with one final really exciting question to think about. With this much activity happening at every single level, where is this whole ecosystem headed next?